There will be a theme presentation by Mr. Divyesh Kumar Sharma, Associate Director Energy, RTA India. Invite you, Divyesh, to come on the stage, please. We have the next line of speakers with Mr. M.K. Jain, Member, Uttarakhand Electricity Regulatory Commission. Request Mr. Jain to come up on the stage, please. Mr. Gajanan Kale, CEO, TP Western Odisha Distribution Company Limited. Then we have Mr. Manoj Kumar Singh, Chief General Manager, Commercial Services, TP Central Odisha Distribution Company Limited. Request Shri Manoj Kumar Singh ji to come up on the stage, please. We are missing Mr. Manjappa, Director Technical CESCOM Mysore. But in the meantime, we will start with the present distinguished speakers who are here on the dais. I would request Mr. Anant Venkateshwaran to take the lead and initiate the session in the interest of the time. Over to you, Anant.
Thank you. Sorry, that mic is working now? Wow, it was dead. It dropped when it started working. Generally, they keep it off, and when you start, you put it on. Make sure your mics are all on, okay? Good afternoon to everybody here. Post-lunch sessions are always a lot of fun, right? Especially after that wonderful gaja, that Odia gaja that was served today. So one of my favorite desserts, because I grew up in this state, and whether it be Salepuri Rasgulla or gaja, those are my favorite desserts. So hopefully you have some chai too. So, okay. So this session is a very interesting topic, right? It's a topic about customer expectations, right? The topic is very interesting. It's been titled Customer Expectations, Supply Reliability, and Service Delivery Challenges, right? Now, reliability, and under that, the subtopics are changing needs of the digital customer, right? Service delivery challenges, attending to rural customers, supply reliability in rural areas, right? Safety of workers, public and animals, and metering, billing, and things of that sort, right? So let's talk briefly about where we are and where the industry is in the customer journey, so to speak. Because from the very topic, I think it's very obvious that we have urban customers, we have rural customers, you have semi-urban customers, or as the minister said yesterday, you know, you got the urban customers, the rural and urban. Isn't that what he said? Rural and urban, right? Urban customers. Then you have multi-tenant, you have commercial customers, industrial customers. And I think the one thing that I think utilities have been challenged with lately is it is not a one-shoe-fits-all formula, right? Because each and every customer has a different set of needs. And how does the utility really meet the needs of all these customers? And I think over the last few years, I've had the privilege of working with several utilities in North America, in Europe, in Australia, New Zealand. And what I have been working on is this a whole area of customer segmentation. Because as the very title suggests, you cannot know what the customer expectation is if you don't know who the customer is, right? You know, in each of those segments that I described. And so customer segmentation has taken on a very new avenue and area, and there are plenty of tools available, market outreach tools available. There are companies that are doing full-time, helping and working with utilities. But at the end of the day, I think the second aspect of what we are dealing with today, in the day and age we are living in today, is this whole energy transition that we have talked about so many times in so many different ways. The session before us was about the climate crisis, right? But then again, digitalization becomes a very critical element to enable the decarbonization, the decentralization, and enabling the customer to actually make those decisions, you have to have that digitalization element. That's the second aspect. The third aspect, I believe, is synchronization and harmonization. Because if you look at a classic utility customer back office architecture, what you often find is, for the utility, the meter being the cash cow, right? Everything comes back from the meter into the MDM. It goes into some level of customer system, customer information system. But in that ecosystem, there are, from the moment the customer moves in, the customer takes the service, move out. But between the move in and move out, there's a lot of steps in the middle of bill payment. And the utility has several touch points with the customer. So what's important is that the harmonization should be taking place. And why is harmonization important? Because just as any company that is dealing with what I call as a B2C business model, right? Not a B2B, but a B2C. There is B2B in commercial industrial customers, but a lot of the utility model is also B2C, where you have end users who pay bills, right? And so in that business, whether it be B2C or B2C, establishing trust is a very important element, right? So what we are going to talk about today is, in an umbrella fashion, covering all the topics today, is how does the utility really establish the trust, right? How is trust established with the customer, right? Whether it be in the area of outage management and conveying to the customer, reliability information in a way that the customer knows and expects what do we expect from the utility from an outage perspective and reliability perspective. But that's not the only area, right? There's also the whole bill payment. There's also, we talked about 250 million smart meters. And if this 250 million smart meters roll out to be successful, whether it is done in 1 state or 20 states or how many as well states it may be, or how many as well phases it may be, the one important element is, people say, oh, we can have technical problems and technical problems can be solved. Yes, but if there is one challenge facing the utility in rolling out 250 million meters, I can assure you the technical challenge is the least of the challenges. There is business operational challenges, but there is also this customer engagement challenge. How do we, I can give you, and I've said this before in this forum, I can give you an example of 2 utilities. One utility actually engaged the customer, enrolled the customer, and did a lot of customer engagement, information, education activities before the first network infrastructure was laid, before the first IT infrastructure was started, before the first meter was rolled out in the ground, right, into the field. Before all of that happened, the utility engaged the customer and informed the customer, educated the customer, set expectations with the customer, right? And then even got the customer portal up and running for the customers that they thought were the best fit for a customer portal. They were ready for the customer portal because they had done their customer engagement work and they had understood who the customers are and what each customer is looking for. The second utility decided they will do the rollout first, they will do the network infrastructure first, they will do all the program management, all the hi-fi terms that we hear, right? All these big terms, program management, project management, meetings on a regular basis, informing all the stakeholders. Everything was done correctly, but they forgot one thing, the customer. And so they rolled out the meters, and then they said, now we're going to start the customer portal. And guess what? The customers began to bulk. And so between these 2 utilities, you can take a guess which utility was able to engage and enroll more customers in the follow-up services. Obviously the first utility, right? So today, as we are discussing, what I'm hoping that everybody can bring out is each and every utility and each and every person here on the dais here has their own personal experiences and their company experiences. I hope you can bring out something about what your customer expectations are, what your reliability expectations are from the customer, and what are the different services that you hope to offer to the customers, but all built on one fundamental element, trust. If that is not there, nothing will work, right? So with that, I will kick this session off, and I'm going to ask, we'll start with you, sir. I'm going to ask Mr. Devesh Kumar Sharma to begin his presentation. Thank you so much. I ask that each of you limit your presentations to about 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes, so we'll have some time at the end to talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Venkateswaran. I think it was a perfect overture to the session, what he just gave. It's too difficult to speak after a lunch session, I'm damn sure about this. It looks like, there's a quote which says that it is like a wall which is inclined towards you. So that is the most toughest thing to do, and the second most toughest job is to do a session after lunch or dinner. Consumer services has been spoken at this platform for a long time, in different sessions, different series of ISGF. I've been hearing each and every session loud and clear. I think most of the aspects of reaching out the last mile, creating impact, engaging consumers, has been already set on this, and has been spoken at large. This session, which is the sixth session, I'll make sure that I do justice to what is required and what the audience essentially wants to hear in. Let me quickly start. India, the third largest generation, the third largest consumer base, one of the largest installation of network, one of the largest promising network which delivers at the last mile. About 132 or 137 ranked on per capita consumption. Gives a very clear picture that we have a very promising way forward, but a lot has to be done in terms of bringing consumer on the board, bringing consumer trust on the board. In this session, what I will do is, I will go about speaking on the distribution company's role, going forward, the gap which we have to match, the vast and the significant rural asset which is crucial to transformation, and Research Triangle Institute's intervention, where we have done a major transformation sitting at the last mile in one of our assets in Rajasthan. Let's come and discuss and deliberate about this problem through this session. I would right now call this session, because when you speak about consumer services, this session is not only speaking about technology, it's not just speaking about transformation, it is not speaking about operation and maintenance. We are here right now doing a manthan of how the consumer services should be forayed, should be forged, and how the partnership can happen between utility and consumer. Our research for a broad amount of time and years together very illustratively comes through two aspects of consumer services, which are displayed over here in two different legends. One is the priority to the consumer. What services are priority to the consumer? What is the focus, what consumer is looking at? Why do we have a utility which is system-centric? Why don't we have a utility which is consumer-centric? And the second ledger, which speaks about service maturity. On the areas of service maturity, a state distribution company, a typical ideal state utility company, would actually ace any utility on the grounds of personnel, the quality of service, the manpower which is engaged, and of course, grievance in terms of connecting community, going to the consumer doorstep, getting collection, sounding him off about his invoice and bills and so on and so forth. That's the strength we have. And what is the large weakness we really have to work upon? That is billing and collection. Distribution is the last mile in terms of getting cash on board. It's also the cash box of the entire value chain. So the responsibility at the last mile to engage the consumer is even more, and to ensure that the collection, actually the recourse on the investment of the network as well as operation and maintenance cost actually recovers from the cost which is metered at the consumer doorstep. How do we go about doing that strength? There is a strength we have in terms of consumer base, and there is a weakness we have in terms of billing and collections. So the opportunity for differentiation we have is to extend and the wide range of payment arrangement we have. The wide range of communication a utility creates. The wide range of metering and billing reading exercise the utility creates. And trust me, I've been part of the rural reform for a long time. I've been part of the distribution franchisee model to an extent. I forayed also into Africa, where I was principal advisor for privatization of large distribution utility assets. And then I moved into energy trading, risk management consultancy. The core issue which lies over here is, how do you upgrade and ensure that you harness your strength to combat your weakness? So the base solution comes in that through the community connect, through the field, through what you have in terms of wide, extensive arms around the locality, around the subdivision you operate at, around the circle where a distribution utility operates at, you really have to jump from that strength and reach out towards meeting up your weaknesses. But then question again remains that where are we on the maturity level? There has been a lot of investment which has been done on the distribution utility side. Most of the reforms you talk right from the time of the FRP plans, the RAPDRP program, every now and then we have investments coming in terms of connecting consumer. We come with small and bit pieces of problem, we sit on a situation or a platform, we make a bigger problem of it and go with wider questions in our mind. This is a time where we can come up with decisive answers. And we've done this work in terms of engaging utility at different platforms. What our research shows is the problem is not essentially in connecting the technology. The problem is not in mobilizing the funds. The problem is largely not in terms of, upgradation of vast utility assets. Everything can come in a stage-wise manner. Everything can be programmed and, targets could be achieved. The problem is when you layer up a technology which sits on the ocean like an oil, and it completely, spoils or deteriorates the flora and fauna beneath the ocean. You lay over the entire layer of blanket of technology, and the capacity building of manpower is not done. The change management at the point of subdivision office, the change management at the point of that last mile, the feeder in charge, or the assistant engineer on board, or the executive engineer on board does not understand how this technology will apply and help him in his regular decision making. How metering, billing, collection systems can be viewed at length, and how can I make decisive actions for ensuring that the new service connection happens on the turnaround time, the reconnection happens in turnaround time, so and so forth. The answer to this is that there has to be a shake hand between technology and the workforce which is involved. And there is where you have an elevator pitch, the accelerated way to reform or transform from where we are. Giving you a flavor of what the rural assets are, we are right now operating in an area called Deek, which is the last mile of Rajasthan, cuts tangent with Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. Very strong community in terms of consumer base. A perfect space, 35 kilometers or 40 kilometers away from a CESC operated distribution franchisee, where we regularly meet the distribution utility professionals, we meet our consumer base. We are not operating any kind of privatization model, we are doing a capacity building exercise. We are ensuring that the employees are brought to the center stage of a reform. We ensure that the employees are given the relevant amount of extension of hand, whether it is technology wherewithal or commercial wherewithal or standards, so on and so forth, so that they can address the consumer or the last mile at their end. What does the rural consumer essentially want? The rural consumer essentially wants 4 or 5 broad areas of concerns. The first is quality of supply at the last end. The second is a perfect manpower assistance so that whatever the interruption or requirement in terms of payment collections are, it can be addressed on spot. Very funny issues come on rural cases which doesn't come on urban consumer platforms. There has been a theft. In fact, last week I was in Bharatpur, and we had a meeting with the superintendent engineer. Just want to bring this case, and it's very interesting for all of us. One of the consumer actually dropped into the SE office, superintendent engineer's office, and said, my house has been caught by the vigilance squad for theft. The fact of the matter was that I was billed for 6 months appropriately. For next 6 months, I did not receive any invoice. The amount inflated at such a level that I really could not honor that payment at once. And I now want utility to help me so that I can recourse. And the SE was so kind of supportive in such cases. This was a lady who came into the office. And the way he addressed the issue in terms of fragmenting that payment, also going out of hands and ensuring that she doesn't have a problem and pain, was immense of an exercise. And the worst case scenario was that she still could not be reconnected after the payment has been fragmented. And the core reason for this is that the connection is on a joint property which is owned by 4 brothers. 3 brothers are still remaining to pay for their dues. So even if she pays, she cannot be connected. So we need that kind of flexibility at the field. We need that kind of help in decision making at that field. We need that kind of agility to happen where consumer and utility boards can come and shake hands together. I'm sure that there are mechanisms, and every utility works at different ways. But these are very classic cases which comes to us. Empower gain model, which I was just trying to elaborate over here, and let me have the honor through this presentation slide to share with you, is essentially a reform where we bring employee to the center stage. It is the word is coined by an abbreviation which is called employee ownership and gain sharing model. The intent is not to invest any capex per se. Of course, it is coupled with capital investment. The intent is not to privatize anything. The intent is not to create a parallel utility. The intent is to partner with the employee and ensure that most of the attributes of consumer services, operation, maintenance, reliability, every aspect is covered and dealt with. The intervention pillars we have through this, comes through our domain research by walking through the asset and doing a walk-down survey. We feel that every unit which is lost has a proportion share in terms of different function of utility. So 20% could be out of process engineering, 20 to 25% of a loss segment could be out of commercial and technical intervention, and 15% on the basis of governance and efficiency, or could be on the basis of employee engagement or reward recognition. This is not sacrosanct. We come with our research template, and that is how we devise these kind of answers. The intent of the model is to create relevant interventions so that we have an effective answer and effective resolution. Key performance indicators, creating templatization, setting up benchmarks, and then making action is the core area where we work upon. Areas where we have surpassed some kind of quality level standards. We have also created major, training in terms of bringing everyone on board into the training platform. This is the image you see almost on the left, the most corner is actually a training classroom which is operating right at the AEN office. The second image which you see is essentially the on-site training program we have where we partner every feeder in charge, the last mile, in terms of doing feeder balancing exercise, technical interventions. Soft skill efforts, also reward and recognition in terms of their performance. Vigilance, we have a theft tracking mechanism, which is a proprietary strategy wherein on 22 to 25 variables we track theft, and we assure that the catchments are, are analytically being brought up so that internal and external vigilance programs could happen. The large queue of consumer which actually queue up outside the AEN office, we have made sacrosanct business process engineerings so that the kind of crowd which happens, the mass care which happens around the AEN office curtails to minimum people. And of course, technology upgradation. These are some of the feedbacks which have come from each and every consumer on our base. These are doctors, teachers, women entrepreneurs, oil expellers, typically of a Reuben category of consumers. And each of them, are trying to, kind of illustrate that, these kind of models in terms of helping the utility works in a very effective way. The answer and the summation of my presentation over here is the answer lies within the model of consumer satisfaction, consumer health dynamics. We are looking at what we expect is that we onboard on a digital utility platform on a rapid trajectory. We look forward that supply, when a consumer drops at the AEN office, what he expects, or at a subdivision office, what he expects is the supply which I need right now. The ethics which should be maintained, the service quality which is utmost needed, the data which utility must have so that they know me, they know the consumer, and adaptation in terms of how he moves into different categories and how the demand actually is planned and demand responsiveness happens. So these are the technological aspects where digital utility are looking at in the era of digital utility. But the problem we have so far is, again, we have a consumer interface place or a brick and mortar place where documentation still needs to be physical. We have a problem where KYC level are not as banking KYC levels. We are not as responsive as banking KYC levels are. We have a problem in terms of multiple interaction are not there for a consumer to resolve his issues and problems. We don't have a system-centric backend. We have a process-driven backend. We don't have a consumer adapt solution. The consumer has to adapt to the utility to get his services.
Sharmaji, you're out of time.
Just 2 minutes.
Thank
you. 2 minutes. I'm just summing up this is the last slide I have. Thank you. So the summation, which the concluding point I really want to make over here is that rural or urban reform can essentially happen by handshaking with the workforce, with the human capital, and bringing them to scientist stage. That's the answer which Research Triangle actually wants to hand over at this stage. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. I thought it was very insightful. Talking of priority, right? As I've always mentioned in the AMI session, talking about 250 million meters, that the 250 million meters mark is so high. It's never been done anywhere before. People can talk about it all day long, but it's not been done. And if you have not done it, there is no experience. There is no real life experience, right? That's the weakness. And so there is an opportunity to innovate. Same way, when we talk about India, you talk about quality of service, we talk about service, the cost of service. These are some real challenges facing Discoms, right? Because depending on where the customer is, maybe the customer's need is quality, maybe it is reliability, maybe it is the billing issues, maybe it is the losses. So this is where we can hear from our utilities to see what their perspective is. So with that, I will hand over to Mr. Gajanan Kale, CEO of TPWODL. Thank you, sir.
Can you set up the presentation, please? Thanks, Anand, for setting the tone, and thanks, Divesh, for the detailed research work, what he has done and shared today. This is a really interesting topic regarding the customer services and what the customers are expecting from the different Discoms. And that's why I wanted to present certain data, like how Indian power scenario is. If you look across the entire Discom customer base, it is around 30.7 crores of the customers which we are serving across the country. Out of these 30.7 crores customers, almost 40% customers are urban customers, 49% customers are rural customers, only 1% customers are industrial, and the major stake is 5% agriculture and 5% other category. So that is the actually bifurcation of the entire customer base across the country. And if you look after this average power supply in rural and urban area, So rural, the average power supply is around 20.8 hours per day, and in urban area, it is almost 23.5 hours per day. The AT&C losses across the country, as per the recent studies, around 22 to 23%, and 31% customers are making the online payment. If you look at the actual bill generated on the actual reading base, it is comparatively less. It is around 78% of the bills we are actually generating on the reading base, and the other bills we are generating on average provisional basis. For defective meters in urban area, we are taking much time of like 45 days. In rural area, it is 45 days. In urban, it is almost 35 days we are taking for replacing the meter. So that was the power scenario of India. Now, if you look at the different scheme which has been given by the central government and state government, actually these schemes are coming regularly to help the Discoms to upgrade their infrastructure, to set up a new growth infrastructure, like lot of technology interventions they are also suggesting. So lot of schemes are coming right from the APDRP, revised APDRP, then Rajiv Gandhi, then Gramin Vidyut Yojana, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Yojana, then IPDS is there, so latest Kusums is there, RDSS is there. So through all these schemes, central government and state governments, they are providing funds to the Discom to set up new infrastructure, or the infrastructure which is quite old and already this life cycle is completed, to just replace that infrastructure. And that way central government and state governments, they are making the Discoms financially viable. So if all these schemes are not coming to Discoms, in that case what will happen? The tariff will increase so high, so customers will not be able to bear that tariff. So after giving all these schemes and all this funding to the different Discoms, actually we have set up a lot of infrastructure. All the Discoms have set up a lot of infrastructure. They have upgraded their technology. They are actually doing a lot of technological interventions. They are replacing with the smart meters and all. After that, now Ministry of Power has taken a very good initiative, and you might be aware about this electricity rights of customer rule 2020. So as per this rule, this Ministry of Power expectation is there should be certain standard of performance for providing certain set of services to the customers, and through these rules we have obligation to follow that rules and that SOPs, standard of performance. So last year this study was carried out by Ministry of Power, the CSRD, customer service rating of the Discoms. So if you see the last year, almost 70 Discoms approach REC, and almost 60 Discoms has given their data. So out of these 60 Discoms, if you see, the bifurcation is 41 is the general state level Discoms, 10 are urban Discoms, and 9 are special category Discoms in eastern part of the country. So out of these 60 Discoms, if you see, majorly this assessment was done on the 4 major parameters. One is like operational reliability, restoration of the supply and grievance handling, reading, billing and collection, and connection and other services. So these are the major 4 parameters on which all these Discoms were assessed. And surprisingly, if you see the performance of the Discom, only 3 urban Discoms could secure the A category, and 4 state level Discoms could secure the A category. Rest of the 53 Discoms are in B, C and D category. So if you see the customer base, urban Discoms, almost 2.5 customers are getting A category of the services, and rest all other customers actually are they are actually expecting good services from the Discoms. If you go further in details of this survey or this study, Majorly, if you see the operational reliability, after this number of scheme, the operational reliability has almost improved in every part of the country, and almost 90% of the customers are satisfied with the operational reliability part, because we have set up a good network through these different schemes which are actually supported by central and state government. So that way, operational reliability wise, we are on a better state. If you look at this connection and other services, it is almost 60-40, 60% customers are happy with the connection services and all. Fault rectifications and grievance redressal 50-50, you see if the 50 customers are satisfied, 50% are dissatisfied. The major problem lies with this reading, billing and collection part. Across the country, 90% Discoms are not able to satisfy our customers for reading, billing and collection activity. So this is a very good feedback came out of this study, and I should thanks to Ministry of Power and REC for carrying out this study, so that it is giving a good feedback to all the Discoms where we should work and what are the different parameters where we need to improve. These are certain best practices we actually we took from the same study, like what are the other Discoms they are doing so that they are in the A category. So they have simplified online process for the new connections. They are having very minimum documentations for giving the new connections. They are providing doorstep services, like periodic reminders they are giving to their customers whenever any outage is there, or in any reading, if their meter reader is going for the site, they are giving the prior time to the customers that we are coming on so and so date at so and so time. So that kind of good practices they are having. Even the utilities who secured the A positions, their maximum, the reading billing is on time and accurate. So this is the best part. In Delhi, two Discoms, rather three Discoms, all the three Discoms, they are in A category. In state level, if you see like KESCO, two Discoms of Andhra and one Telangana, these four Discoms are in A category. So when we are going for the benchmarking study to these Discoms, so that means all these these best practices they are actually having. So why there is a digital transformation is required. So just going to the next topic. After change of technology and like a lot of changes there up to 3G to 4G, 4G to 5G, lot of communication improvement is there, technology has changed. So actually expectation of the consumer has also actually changed, and they are actually expecting more from the Discoms. Actually, a customer wants their personalized experience. Everyone wants their personalized experience. Like if we are giving any app to the customers, they want at any time I should be able to generate the reading based bill. I should be able to make the payment at any times. So I should get as and when he required, if he are actually chatting on WhatsApp or Twitter. So on all social platform, he immediately want response from the Discom. Always on type culture they are actually expecting, because they want round the clock services. Actually in urban areas, all the Discoms they are giving round the clock services. But if you look at the rural part of the country, mostly actually we are not able to provide them round the clock services. If there any supply is off in any of the rural part, so they always think the customer mindset is aaj to koi nahi aayega, somebody will come next day and this supply will be restored. So that kind of mindset is there. But now expectation of rural customer is also increased. They also want round the clock 24/7 services. They want real-time information of all the outages, whatever the reading we have taken, what is the bill we have generated, so what is the due date, so all kind of communications on real-time basis they want. So this is their expectations. Everybody wants a quick response. Like aap pizza order karte to like half an hour this pizza is delivered. So that way they also expect power utility should also respond to our requirement for restoration of supply. Like if I am going for any complaint, first time it should be resolved. There should be a single window for resolving my complaints. And all these A category Discoms, they have set up all these best practices. This is transformation core. Like when you are setting up any technology upgradation we are doing, when we are giving any digital transformation we are doing. So for example, we have set up an app for the customer, or self-meter reading. In most of the Discom we have started self-meter reading. So when we have set up this self-meter reading, so that time front end we have developed. At the same time you should have a preparation for back end, so that whenever customers are using these services and he is getting a good response from the Discoms, so then trust will be developed with that customer. Now this new service is working well. So that kind of transformation should happen hand in hand when you are giving any digital services to our customers. For service challenges, what I have observed in rural part and other part of the countries, like data sanitization is must. In all Discom, there is a lot of data garbage is there, and if you see like connection is taken in the name of grandfather and grandson is still using that connections, and even someone has sold his property and some new user is come, but still it is connection is in the name of old customer. Your address is not updated, your telephone numbers are not updated. So lot of data sanitization is required so that we can reach to the customers. Actually the problem what I have faced, actually I have worked 30 years in Discoms, and I have worked in urban, rural, state level Discom, all kind of Discoms I have worked. And what I have seen, like the major problem in state level Discom is we are not able to reach to the customer. In rural part actually we are not giving the services as we are giving in urban part of the country. So when you are having the updated database, that time you can reach to the customers. The next challenge is we are having a very old asset base available in all Discoms, and when you are upgrading your technology, when you are going for SCADA, OMS, DMS and all, so that old equipment, old assets, you are not able to upgrade because they have already lived up their life. So already this life cycle is complete. So there is need to change this equipment, change these assets in a phased manner. And for that you require a lot of capex. And that's why all these central government and state government funding schemes are there, so that in a phased manner we can also keep our network and asset updated. Skill set. Skill set is another challenge for all the employees, because in state level Discoms, when we are upgrading the technology, for example, we have set up SAP ISU for your billing system, or Fluent Grid as a billing system, or you are going for OMS, DMS and SCADA. So at the same time, you should also improve the competency of your employee base. Otherwise, what is happening? In many Discom, I have seen that we have actually upgraded our technology, but our skill set we have not improved. Even the vendor skill set is also required to improve, because many times we are outsourcing this activity and vendors are operating, our employees are operating, and they are working on this upgraded technology and all. So that upgradation is required, and their skill set upgradation is required.
Sir, it's been 15 minutes.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Can I please?
Just,
Thank you.
I will complete within 5 minutes.
Thank you.
So this is, just we'll skip this slide in the interest of time. Reliability, we have already discussed on it that reliability is good, but still the challenges for reliable power in rural areas. Actually, there is unpredictable demand, like high cost of technology interventions, and we are actually looking for the low cost solution in the rural area. Long length of the feeder, you all know that in rural area, the length of feeder is very long, and that's why we are not able to maintain these feeders. Large geographical presence in forest areas and all. So these are basically some challenges and best practices. We are just, we are mentioning the right hand side that a lot of capital infusion is required, phase-wise replacement of asset is required, implementation of new technology is required. So that way we can work. This is the important part, is basically the metering, billing and collection part where most of the Discoms, they are not able to perform, and 90% of Discoms are lacking in giving the services on MBC. So here what we have observed, like there is a lack of regular update to the customer contact details which we have discussed. Inadequate strength of meter readers and bill distributors are not there in the area, so they are not able to reach. Then less use of technology for meter reading. Now we are actually upgrading, we are going for OCR based reading, we are going for AMR, we are going, so that way automation is happening, but for entire customer base we cannot do that automation. Low compensation for meter reader in the rural area, they are not able to travel, we are not giving any conveyance allowance and all, so that's why they are doing table reading. Ek jagah baith ke, they are filling the entire reading and all. So we are actually, we are not giving the proper services to these customers. For collection part also, we don't have much collection centers in the entire part of the country, and that's why we have tied up with the different IndusInd Bank outlets, these CESC outlets, even Airtel outlets. So we have actually in Odisha, we have tied up more than 23,000 such outlets so that the customers are getting the payment center within the reach of 1 or 2 kilometers. So that way we have set up our collection centers. These are a few of the best practices. Just last point I will touch on the safety part. So this is actually a very important point for all the Discoms, because I have actually seen in Tata, we are actually having a 3-level structure of the safety. So the structural changes are required in all Discoms. We have actually apex level structures where all the CEOs and all the chiefs, they are actually reviewing the safety part of the organizations quarterly basis. Then circle level or zone level safety teams are there, divisional level safety teams are there, and even safety champions are there in each and every subdivisions and all. So that they are looking after the safety of their own employees, safety of the BA employees and all. So when we took over this part of the Odisha, that time what we find, like people were not using the PPEs, personal protective equipment they were not using. So actually we have spent, and we should be thankful to our regulator. He has approved our capex for actually purchasing a lot of safety PPEs, tools, tackles, equipment and all. Even when we are actually outsourcing the people for any kind of job like annual maintenance contract or any project work, so first they are going to the basic safety induction program. Once they are clearing that basic safety induction program, then only they are going for the field duties. Otherwise, they are not allowed to go for the field duties. And regular safety training, 2 days safety training for each and every BA employee as well as regular employees, mandatory in all the organizations in Delhi, Mumbai, Ajmer and Odisha. So that kind of safety structure we have developed. A lot of safety code of conduct is there when you are finalizing tender. Even that time also, if the vendor is not having a appropriate safety structure, so we are not giving him a tender and all. So that kind of stringent checks are there in the organization, and that's why we are able to improve on this part, and lot of accidents are reduced in the state of Odisha and other part of the country. So we'll discuss further in the discussions. Thank you for giving us the time.
Thank you so much, sir, for your very insightful presentation. And I think you made the takeaway I got from the presentation is that there's a lot of good things happening when it comes to engagement of the customer and the digitalization experience. But I think at the end of the day, it's all about how the customer perceives. Are they getting that personalized service or not, right? And because very often what we have found across the world is that when personalized service is delivered and the customer at the receiving end perceives that personalized service, then the customer is motivated. When the customer is motivated and interested and engaged and informed, then they help the utility as well. And last but not the least, they're willing to be a partner with the utility on customer automation and customer care center initiatives and control as well. So thank you so much. With that, I will hand over to Mr. Manoj Kumar Singh. Would you please give our presentation, please? Thank you. Mr. Singh, as he's getting set up, is the CGM Commercial Services for TPCODL. Thank you, Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Anant, and good afternoon all. At the outset, let me extend my gratitude to ISGF for having this organization here, camp here, so that also we all become part of this conference. Thank you all. And with that, we'll go to the topic straight away as you have started ticking your clock right now. So, to start with, as you know, rightfully you told also, as organization, we must try to understand first what customer needs, what customer expects. And I'll just try to just talk about our organization part, because I am this organization for last around 22 years, and out of which I think 13, 14 years I spent S2L SESU, which was earlier organization, and now last 2.5 years the new organization has taken over the Tata. So I am the part of this transition, you can say, myself. So to start with, as you know, to understand that also, as you know, with the Tata took over in the era of COVID time, when COVID was there, and after I think 7-8 months, and we carried out the exercise, and we got customer satisfaction survey by MRDA to understand what customer expects, because that becomes a benchmark where actually to trying to understand what is the customer expects, and based on which I'll just share what are the various activities we have taken over a period of time last 1.5 years, and still also as this is a beginning, we have taken a lot of activities, and to share where we are now. Now, starting with, as you know, coming to give a glance of this organization, as you know, we've got around 27 lakh consumers, and broadly we've got EST, ST, high value consumers, roughly around 2,000 odd consumers, and their LT consumers, 27 lakh consumers. And we have got, as an organization, we have got 20 divisions, 5 circles, then 247 sections, and most last mile fish, which was earlier most dilapidated condition, like Fuge Call Center. We have got around 1,000 Fuge Call Center, which basically the job was to give, when the consumer power supply goes and customer comes to that office and informs, okay, power has gone, kindly give me supply. So this kind of infrastructure we are having, and we have got 30,000 square mil area, because that is very critical to know, understand also the such a vast organizations and how we are going to cater the services to all our customers. Now coming back, we have based on the survey, what I found out, we have rated various quality, reliability of electricity supply, quality of number of power supply restoration process, quality of new connection process, quality of metering has been done, quality of billing part, quality of payment processes, quality of request and complaint management process, and quality of communication customer engagement. Broad on these parameters, we give a feedback, and we have on 5 scale rating, we asked consumer to rate 4 to fair, good, very good, excellent, and based on which overall, just I'll go back to straight to the 76%, the initial rating, as you know, just after 8-9 months we have done. So 76%, that means 76% of the respondent rated company as a good, very good, and excellent. So that's the rating. But as you know, like we talk about customer segmentation. So that's how we started also to divide into various customer segmentation to understand each one's problem area, pain area. Like we have got in urban, we have got rural, we have got urban up to 10 kilowatt and 10 kilowatt to 100 kilowatt. Similar rural also up to 10 kilowatt, the small consumers, then 10 kilowatt to 100 kilowatt. Then we have got high value consumers, we call KCG consumers, who are more than 100 kVA to 1000 kVA, and express customers who have got more than 1 MV. And everyone we have got response specifically in what is their need. And based on that, to summarize, is what customer expects from us. In rural customers, as you know, fast, there is an order of priority also there, and fast to reduce the tariff. Like yesterday, we have discussed, and some speaker asked us, how many people want tariff to rise? And their response was very minimal. So similarly also the survey which was done, the reduction of tariff, one of the expectation, and that definitely we are trying to achieve through minimizing AT&C loss, improve billing procedure, complaint resolution in stipulated time period, easy making payment, reduction of power cut, reduce voltage fluctuation, replacing old poles, wear and etc. Because as you know, these systems having more than 60 years old systems, now legal systems carried out. So definitely they see on the face of it, the poles are broken, there are conductors sagging, and bill collection in time. So there is one other very interesting fact, like consumer wants bill collection has to at time, because I'll come back to the next slide, why they want also. Like urban consumers and reduction of tariff, again there is a priority one. Then improve power supply, improve billing procedure, complete restitution, quality service, advance information power cut, reduce voltage fluctuation, improve electric clarity of bill. So another important, improve clarity of bill. So these are the various expectations based on which we have started and we try to understand what are the various our challenges, like one is external and the internal. Coming to external part, as you know, in the morning session, our CEO himself is explaining like what kind of natural calamities is faced by the organizations, how it is affecting the organization in terms of its infrastructure part. But coming back to it also, customer part also, it affects customers as well as ours in terms of commercial aspects. Because when customers mostly, then Odisha customers mostly, their agricultural based income is there, bearing few area where industry is coming up. Like most of the people are economy dependent on agriculture based. So when they are hit by frequent cyclones, rains, so definitely it also affects their economy part, which also in turn affects our recovery part. Similarly also it affects us badly in the terms, and during that point of time, we are unable to go to consumer places to collect meter reading as well as do collections. So that is the time which also both it affects both consumer as well as organizations. Similarly, coming to, there are also certain consumers who are loyal, but they don't have money because of poor economic conditions. Sometimes also there are consumers also who have got free syndrome, that is electricity has been done, has been free through different government schemes, and electricity is free. Like that kind of mindset also we have got consumers, and who are also create some kind of hostility when this collection takes place in the rural areas. Now coming to internal challenges also, what we are having, we have got lower degree of IT intervention automation part, and then no proactive approach for improving customer service, high commercial loss and lower degree of customer services, the lack of separate commercial structure, because as such earlier we don't have separate commercial structure, and then similarly we have got lack of monitoring framework and dependency of franchisee for long term, because earlier ISGF organizations, we have got around 15 divisions or 20 divisions managed by franchisees. So that means our people were withdrawn from that area, and so that's why after taking over become challenge also how to reach out to all these customers in the absence of franchisees. So these are the broad challenges when we had both internal as well as also external. Coming to safety aspects, as you know, as I mentioned earlier also, these are more than 50 to 60 years old systems, so which are dilapidated and conditions. Of course, safety is a major issue. Natural calamities also affected badly. Aging of assets, breakdown maintenance, and bypass faulty no protection systems, group control systems, vast geographical spread, dense vegetation, which has been seen from the photos shown here, and coastal belt also, of course, it is prone to saline weather, aging workforce, inadequate inventory, and capacity building. So these are the various challenges we faced when we talk about safety and reliability. Similarly, there are rusted and damaged poles, if you see so the photographs also, unsafe and damaged LT/DB, and similarly low hanging wires, like in 33 conductor also, is very lower positions. Now coming to consumers part, so what we have started actually now, the first thing as you mentioned, whatever customer expectation from that we have derived, what to do, what to be done. So to start with, basically customer want a correct bill and in-time bill. So to ensure that also we started doing meter reading through OCR technology, optical character rate technology, where there is no human intervention, and which resulted in recovering a lot of suppressed reading part, which earlier happened, and plus also the ensuring proper bill has been taken, proper reading has been taken for the generation of the bills part. Now, so we have create awareness, putting posters and different printing material, different offices, know your bill part. Like as you mentioned, one of the survey finding also, the consumer wanted to know the description of the bill, explaining them what is the billing month, consumer name and address, how calculation has been done, what is the consumer service number they like to rely upon. So based on that, we have done this exercise. Now coming to reliability part, first thing we have done workplace management using 5 approach. Then if you look at it, improvement like giving cleanliness, bringing to all the areas of operations. Like based on the capital investment done in the system improvement part, if you look at it, this figure, this graph has been shown here. There is 64 reduction happened, 33K feeder interruption in the FY21, and 94 reduction happens in the power transfer reduction part. 37% reduction happens in 11K feeder interruption, and DTR the reduction of 74%. It's quite phenomenal if you looking at the kind of system taken over and the kind of work has been carried out. The current year also further what you achieved last year also compared to last year, even 33 kV feeder further reduced by 60%, PTR interruption reduction by 65%, 11 kg feeder reduction have just slightly increased, and DT interruption has been 19%. Now coming to safety, like as mentioned by our CEO Sahab, Kale Sahab also, like safety first. This is the approach we have done as an organization. Safety first approach, whatever we do, we have take safety oath, then only other activities started taking place. And to create the safety awareness, we have got distribution of safety pamphlets, practice what year training has been taking place, not only for our employees, for our also business associates also. We have celebrated safety month during 10 January, 20th February. Installation of safety hoarding in different Gram Panchayat offices, TPCODL offices, village safety awareness camps has organized, competency assessment of different employees, and Suraksha Sachatan Rath, where every villages, the mobile van having a video displaying the safety aspects and to create awareness around safety goes around various villages, and so that also everybody, all the consumers are become aware of that part. Now these are the state of skill development centers come up recently in this nearby area, so where the training is taking place. Similarly, to put basically as to animal safety part, if you go back, we are converting all our open like DT space, like converting various free FRP fencing system. TPSODL started the strengthening of existing distribution system by installing FRP fencing to enhance safety part. Similarly, in the elephant area, we have got boundary wall. If you cement boundary taken, so that also it will also help to protect the animals. Now, distribution substance refurbishment activities also being carried out. Now, coming to MBC, meter billing collection part. As you know, earlier there is no structure, and we have created different commercial itself, we have different structure. We have got now RCM team, Revenue Cycle Management, whose responsibility is to carry out metering billing collection. We have got Revenue Assurance Group, because we have got lot many consumer grievances there. Lot of complaints are there. To ensure that all bills are revised, all complaints redressed, we have got a separate Revenue Assurance Group who carried out a lot of bill revision activities. We have got for high value consumer, KCG consumer, express consumer, key consumer group, KCG consumers. Then we have got revenue recovery group who ensure that the collection from the defaulting consumers happens through disconnection and regular follow-up activities. Similarly, we have got meter management group who installed last 2.5 years, we roughly installed 9 lakh consumers. They are doing metering management group. We have got customer service group who ensures establishment of customer care center and also functioning of the customer call center, and enforcement group to ensure to carry out various activities against power theft. And similarly, we have got new connection group who carried out the connection activities part. Like coming back, as we have started using the SAP engine part, we have got all the business associates who are working based on performance-based contract. And SAP ISGF MBC engine, we started using that, and for which takes care of the quality check parameters in terms of RQC and BQC, so that also correct bill is generated, delivered to the customers. And as I mentioned earlier, OCR-based metering has started, and nearly 50% consumer has been covered so far. And leadership role also plays a very crucial role towards motivating the field staff and for achieving the organizational objective. Launching of mobile collection app integrated with SAP associates. Like one thing I like to mention here, earlier we have got manual money receipt books, where every collection has been cut through manual money receipt. By now, after a span of 1 year, we have just abolished all these manual money receipts, and we are using all mobile phone apps. So there is all the transactions are captured digitally. And installation of prepaid smart meters, roughly more than 10,000 meters we have installed till now, as per smart meter is concerned. And as well as also self-metering app, what Kala sir was mentioning, also started using that, and customers started using that also. The other is replacement of defective mechanical meters. We have got increasing payment avenues. We have got more counters across TPCODL, mobile collection van for rural consumers. Conducting Gaon Chalo camps. Let's go to village. Like, so every villages we have organized various camps. So also consumer can come there and register their complaint and get it redressed, and also they pay their dues. And recollection of receivables, and of course enforcement activities. Now these are the just snapshot of the reduction, like how this coverage, like as Kaleswar mentioned, coverage one of the challenges in rural areas. So we have increased the coverage part, billing coverage enhanced to 95.54% to now 98.57%. And similarly, provisional billing has been reduced by 5.49%, and roughly we are now our 93% is the actual meter reading is taking place. Now coming to collection part, consumer coverage similarly here also increased from 69% to 80%. We are able to reach out to all the 80% consumers, and MR trend till now we are reaching around 75% of consumers as far as money received goes, where the consumer pays. And there is a broad achievement last 1.5 years to 2.5 years. Roughly 1 year has got lost due to COVID, but ATNC loss reduced last year by March by nearly 5%, like from 30.44% to 29.54%. And this year again we may land up again 5% reduction happens. Billing efficiency has gone up to 76%. Collection efficiency has gone from 90 to 98%. And provisional billing has reduced from 38% to as low as 12%. But again we are striving to reach by 5% by this end of this year. Now what are the broad initiative I put it there? Like improved reliability with automation, the SCADA is in place now. Out of 355 33 by 11 kV substation, roughly we have got 103 substations on the SCADA operated, and out of that 60 are unmanned, where no manpower is not there, which helped us to reduce our SAIDI and SAIFI to great extent as shown from this graph. Like GIS also, out of 27 lakh consumers, more than 50% consumers now mapped through GIS, and balance will be completed by in this year, as rightly told by Shri in the morning session. So which captures all this information, like we can, from different color set, we can know who are the consumers who are not paying, who are the consumers who are paying regularly, who are the consumers who are defaulting. So that also when the recovery team goes, they can particularly identify the consumers where to go and what action need to be taken. New service connection processes, this is very one of the basic requirement, like a consumer starts relation from new connection, and that you must be all must be knowing. There's one of the very terrible experience most consumers are having to get a new connection part. I think that's there where just from this August 15 we declare like you got a new hassle-free registration part, so that also the consumer can register all the information through mobile phone, through giving a missed call, through WhatsApp, through email, through everything also. And also then hassle-free document submission through everything can be done through online, and our document, our application app. Smart meter I mentioned, already 10,000 meters has been installed so far. And we got Mitra app where consumer do everything. The consumer starting from doing your own reading, generating your own bill, paying on the spot, as well also getting the receipt out of that, plus also as well as to register the complaint. Everything can be done this one-stop solution. The TPCODL Mitra app that is being also started used by consumers to a large extent. Like self-metering app I have just touched upon. And electricity bill on WhatsApp. What are the consumers who are given a mobile number also are sending their bills to the WhatsApp messages. Till now 250,000 consumers are getting. Like digital payment journey, we have done a lot of awareness, as yesterday Mr. was mentioning that technology you cannot enforce. But you can just started creating awareness among the consumers, automatically they create a pool so that also consumers start using that technology. So on that respect, digital payment also going a big way, like we have got creating awareness through print media, social media, scroll TV, FM channels, promotion in market area, promoting digital payment through common service centers, Bharat Money stores, putting banners on electricity pole with QR code for digital payment. Like a video played in customer care centers, awareness came through social media, posters are placed in TPCODL vans, stall in various puja pandals, various local ceremonies, pamphlets in newspaper distribution through communication in market area. These are also another it is taken, like we have covered 5,000 students through awareness sessions in school and energy crowd, because they are the future consumers. So the large scale we have taken that exercise, and that has resulted also like increasing our online payment transaction, which has gone up from nearly 1 lakh to 2.57 lakh, and the growth is around 81% increase in that online transaction. And Mitra is concerned, till now also 108% net improvement has taken place, like where consumers started adopting more and more Mitra app, and every month 6 to 7,000 consumers, new consumers adding in this category.
Sir, you're
Yeah, just 2 minutes. Like this is another community involvement. Like as yesterday also, Minister was mentioning that because we are using local self-help groups to carry out various metering, billing, collection activity part, and like they become partners of us. So that's helps in engaging the local consumers. Like we have given through a different logo and different one type of shadi, so that also everyone can identify. They are our groups. Model Gram Panchayat also adapted, like where we are trying to see that ensuring safety, 100% of metering, billing, collection part. We have adapted Model Gram Panchayat thing. And another thing also, like to ensure that customer come near to the place, we have converted Fuge Call Center to a Biddu Seva Kendra. So also consumer can, the nearer to the consumers, they can pay and register the complaint also. And Gaon Chalo, that is let's go to village campaign, where we go to their places and listen to their grievances, resolve their issues. And our consumer fast, as mentioned earlier, we have segmented various different groups. We have got call centers, like till now, we have got say 70 call centers happening head office, and 16 customer care centers open in the various places. And of course, monitoring and mechanism, like just one minute take it. Like key takeaways, if I summarize what has been done, like as I mentioned earlier, the S12 organization, now what will happen? One is capex investment, in a big way, like in terms of improvement, system improvement, safety related issues, customer care center, operated Fuge Call Center, and its conversion to customer service centers. Customer centered approach, whatever you do, there is a key message every time our CEO gives is that there is a basic fundamental rule we must follow. And streamlining MBC processes through technology interventions like OCR for ensuring delivery of actual bills, digitization process, fast-paced implementation of smart meter project, and capacity building of existing employees and BA employees for developing performance-oriented culture. I think broadly these are the various activities you undertaken which help us to meet the customer expectations the big way. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Singh, I have to say that that was a lot of information, but I think it also indicates the thoroughness, that the planning and the execution that you have done, and very impressive. I think you got me there. One place I was hoping you will not mention is Puja Pandal. I was going to ask you, would you do it in Puja Pandal too? My favorite place, by the way, when I was growing up in Rourkela. All the Puja Pandals, and apparently you do there too. So very, very nice and very good. And I think all this work that you're doing is going to help you when you implement and roll out your smart meters, I believe, because you already have an engaged customer base. Mr. N.K. Jain, your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Venkatesh. First of all, actually, the time of the session is already over. I will not take much more time. Yeah, no problem. My felicitation to the dignitaries present and the participants. In this session, we would be covering issues on the customer expectations, supply reliability, and service delivery challenges. First of all, I will say that I was a utility person for 30.5 years. There I was managing director. Then, since last 4 years, I am a regulator. So I will touch this subject in the regulatory perspective. What the customer's expectation and what the regulator is doing for their fulfillment, they should get their right what they want. So that way, I am not going to present any data of the utility, but I want to touch that if we are going to implement these things, then as a regulator, what we think. I believe that out of generation, transmission and distribution sector, the distribution sector needs special emphasis as it acts as a point for the entire power system, value chain serving ultimately electricity consumers. Therefore, for ensuring the overall health of power sector ecosystem, it is important that ACS ARR gap of the distribution utility is minimized, besides maintaining state-of-the-art consumer services and high consumer satisfaction index. For achieving high consumer satisfaction index, it is important to build a smart grid and a smart metering system into the distribution utility, having self-healing capabilities and inbuilt intelligence, so that not only the customer expectations delivery are fulfilled, but also it enables optimum utilization of resources like man, machine, and material. In fact, smart grid and smart metering system should hold hands with effective deployment of IoT-enabled services. in metering, billing and collection activities of a distribution utility. I also believe that any reform or technical upgradation or changes in a regulatory framework poses an uncertainty for the distribution utility which might unduly burden their capex plan. This is very much important nowadays. Therefore, regulations play a pivotal role in the power sector and calls for a 360-degree consultative approach from the various stakeholders, followed by detailed deliberation on the same. An innovative idea, scheme which is desired to be implemented in the field of distribution sector for enhancing efficiency, economy, and accountability should be routed through the channel of regulation, adopting the transparent consultative process. As regulator, I acknowledge that implementation of regulations in true spirit is much more important than framing of it. Coming to the specific discussion point, I am of the opinion that information technology has brought revolution in all walks of life, including the power sector, and today the power data flow dynamics has changed from unidirectional to bidirectional flow with the use of smart metering and smart grid solutions enabling consumers to manage and monitor its load from anywhere. In fact, IoT-enabled services and its applications have helped in realizing the full potential of the power sector through various services, namely consumer indexing, GIS, asset mapping, inventory management through ERP, operation management, load shedding and resource management, smart metering and smart grid, etc. With changing technology and time, the expectations of the electricity consumers have also changed, as now the focus has shifted for quality and reliability. Earlier, there were 3 A's: accountability, accessibility, and availability. With regard to service delivery challenges, I would like to highlight few important service delivery challenges in a power distribution system, such as ensuring safe installation, including safety of man, material, and associated system in accordance with CA safety regulations, ensuring quality and reliability of power, providing services to consumers, including restoration of power within the time frames stipulated in standard performance regulations, accessibility of power for the consumers who are unconnected to the grid, 24/7 availability of powers at affordable rates, and last but not the least, creating effective complaint redressal mechanism for the electricity consumers through establishment of geographically spread CGRF. With regard to the issue of attending rural customers' supply reliability in rural areas and MBC, I would like to share with you that URC has attempted to make separate standards of performance for hilly and plain areas of the state in order to take care of constraints due to a tough geographical terrain of hilly area. Ensuring supply reliability and its restoration, MBC in hilly/rural areas pose severe challenges in terms of availability of man, material, and machine at the right time at right place. Having said that, these rural hilly areas also have significantly low consumption and revenue base, whereas the development maintenance of network is costly and non-remunerative. This results in a situation where consumers of these rural hilly areas get highly cost-subsidized by industrial or commercial consumers. Out of these challenges for rural areas, the key performance aspect is ensuring proper metering, billing, and collection system. In this regard, I am deeply convinced that affordable, smart metering solutions can be very effective in turning around the bottom line of the Discom. As we forward, I think the need of the hour is to focus on critical issues associated with the adoption of new technologies and escalating consumer expectations, such as dovetailing of man with machine, interchangeability and interoperability of devices, standardization of communication protocol, data analytics, enhancing efficiency and accountability at various levels of consumer service delivery and complaint redressal mechanism. In this backdrop, I conclude by saying that smart system for distribution ecosystem should be included in regulation after a 360-degree review of techno-economic, legal and substantially aspects, and smart system for distribution utilities should be first implemented on a pilot basis, on a smaller sample size, and subsequently, based on the experience of the pilot project, the same can be further calibrated and scaled up. As a regulator, I strongly believe and practice that whatsoever can be implemented, that should only be in the regulation, and what is in the regulation has to be implemented. Thanks, that's all.
Of how to keep the presentation short and within time. No, not to nudge my other peers here on the desk, but seriously speaking, I think we heard a regulatory perspective. We heard experiential perspective from our utility colleagues here. And we also heard a very interesting perspective from Mr. Sharmaji on what he and the RTI are doing. I think the takeaway here, as I mentioned earlier, is that bottom line is how effective is the utility in earning the trust of the customer? Because every customer is different, as you all mentioned, right? Every segment is different. One unique element of customer segmentation, typically what we tend to do is we tend to segment the customers into urban and rural and semi-urban. I'm not saying that's wrong, because that is truly speaking one way of segmentation. The other way of segmentation is to let the customer define themselves. One of the ways, creative ways that we did it is let customers, there are some customers, for example, who are willing to pay a bit more money in exchange for their comfort levels, especially the people who are well off. There are some customers who are willing to, do what needs to be done during certain hours of the day. They are flexible. We call them the flexible users, right? So, and there are some customers who are, honestly speaking, willing to prepay for their services because it helps them manage their money better. Because we often take for granted that everybody is good at money management. That's not the case, right? So I think a combination of earning their trust and a combination of letting the customers define and segment themselves, along with all the wonderful things of digitalization that is taking place. And I also want to close by saying this. Having been involved in sustainability and sustainability consulting for a long time, I'm so happy to see the sustainability badge on so many of the Tata Power employees. This whole area of sustainability has gained a lot of importance and significance, not just in India, but across the world. And it all starts with data. We heard today about how much important data is. And let me tell you this, customers are watching. Because customers want to live sustainable lives, right? And so a sustainable utility, a sustainable business is a great example for a sustainable customer. And so I would love to have more time to discuss and talk, but unfortunately we are short on time and we are waiting for the next presentation to start. So I would like to thank Mr. Sharma, Mr. Kale, Mr. Singh, and Mr. Jain for their very thought-provoking and detailed presentations. And with that, I will close. I will ask the team here to come forward for a team picture. And I would like to ask Mr. Reggie Pillai if he's here to come forward. Thank you so much.